Hey, so it's Dr. Eric Shoemake here. First of all, just I'm super happy you're working through this program, and I promise you it's going to pay dividends. What I'm going to be talking about today is food labels and how to read food labels and become what's called a food label ninja, so that you can have the success long term eating the way that you want, not just to lose weight or feel a little better or to fix your triglycerides. Those are great, but we also want you to end up on the cruise ship, not the nursing home. We want you to, never have Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancer. A lot of other cultures in the world really don't have those like we do, and it's because they don't eat the processed food that we do. Now, unfortunately, in our country, we have far more processed food here than any other place in the world. So you have to be a food label ninja and know what you're putting in your mouth. And this is one. If you watch the habits video, the mindset and habits video, this is one of those atomic or linchpin habits that if I can get you doing this one thing, so reading food labels and looking at food labels and knowing what you're looking at, I promise you it will change the way you're eating and make you successful. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to get into, let me see here. Yes, here we go. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into how to read food labels the right way. And it'll bring up some things for you that'll teach you some cool little tips and tricks, because this doesn't need to be difficult. If you look at it, it can be overwhelming if you try to know everything about every food label. But if you just learn a framework, and if you get this framework right, you're going to be right 99% of the time. Okay. So first thing is just a few general rules of food label reading. Number one is if you look for minimal ingredients. So the less ingredients, the better. Okay. So less ingredients, the better. You want to look for natural ingredients. So if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. That's a great one. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. You want to look for foods without any food labels. So that's going to be fruits, vegetables, natural things that are not processed. We eat almost 65% of our calories come from what's called ultra processed or gas station level food. So we want to try to buy things that don't have food labels, fruits, vegetables. You can get apples and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower and strawberries and blueberries and watermelons, and all these things that don't have any food labels. Those are the things you want to really fill your cart with. You want to stay out of that middle section of the grocery store. You want to read every food label on every single thing that you buy, and then we want to check serving size. So you don't need to memorize all those. It's just a kind of an overview, but I'm going to teach you now the framework that you need to know, because this is really where the rubber meets the road. Okay. So again, you want to become a food label ninja. You want to be stealthy and deadly at this thing, because the food companies are trying to fool you a lot of times. The FDA is not your friend. They allow food in our food. They allow things in our food that aren't allowed in any other countries in the world. My mom recently moved to Portugal, and she had horrible what's called psoriatic arthritis when she was here, and she was on a $3,000 a month medication. I talked to her recently and I said, "How are you doing?" She's like, "I'm not on the medication. I haven't had one flare up since I moved over there." And I said, what do you attribute that to?" She said, I don't eat the food that I ate when I was in the United States. They don't allow that stuff in our food over here. And she's like, if you pick up a food label here, it's got, 5 things in it. In Portugal, the same food over here would have 30 things in it. And a lot of those things are making you sick. So we're going to show you how you can steer clear of a lot of those things, and again, be right 99% of the time. So the first thing just always to remember is the less ingredients, the better. Number one rule of food labels, the less ingredients, the better. And then let's get into the 3 things I want you to actually look for. Okay. First is going to be sugar. Okay. Sugar is your biggest enemy when it comes to inflammation. Sugar causes inflammation. Sugar causes a lot of other things I'm going to go through here in a minute, but they put so much food or so much sugar in our food now that you have to watch out for that and know what you're doing. Okay. So sugar and serving size. The second thing we're going to look for is fats. We want good fats, not bad fats. Bad fats also cause inflammation. So sugar causes inflammation, bad fats cause inflammation, and good fats decrease inflammation. And remember, the whole point of this program is reducing your inflammation. Now, what happens when you reduce your inflammation? Your joints feel better, your brain works better, you're less likely to get Alzheimer's disease, your heart works better, cholesterol levels go down, pain goes away a lot of times, autoimmune disorders go away, people lose weight. Fat cells cause inflammation. So inflammation is the root cause of pretty much everything that's wrong with you. And the way we want you to eat is an anti-inflammatory diet, which is what we're working with here. So want to get good fats, not bad fats. And then the third is toxins, avoiding the toxins that make you sick, because toxins cause, guess what? Inflammation as well. Okay. So the less ingredients, the better. And then sugar and serving size. So you're going to look for single digit grams of sugar per serving size, which I'll go through in a minute. So if it had 9 or less grams of sugar per serving size. That's going to be pretty decent. I would like to keep it lower than that, more like towards 1, 2, or 3 grams of sugar per serving size. But you definitely don't want anything that's 15, 20 grams or 30 grams, like a Coca-Cola, 38 grams versus Coca-Cola. You want single digits of whatever you're getting per serving size. So if you're eating a bar and it's 1 serving size, you want that to be less than 10 grams of sugar. Fats we'll talk about, and toxins we'll talk about as well. Okay. Now, why are we so big on sugar and serving size? Number one, sugar is the primary cause of obesity in our country by far. Sugar increases acidity in your body, which causes bone loss, which causes osteoporosis, which causes every other disease pretty much known to man thrives in an acidic environment. Sugar causes inflammation, like we talked about. Sugar is the primary cause of or reason for high cholesterol. It's not eating bad fats, it's eating too much sugar. Most dietary cholesterol doesn't cause cholesterol problems in your body. The most cholesterol issues form in your body because your liver produces cholesterol that clogs your arteries if you eat too much sugar. So in reaction to sugar, your body produces cholesterol. Triglycerides as well. High levels of triglycerides means your body is a sugar burner, not a fat burner. So one of the whole points of this program is trying to turn you into a fat burner rather than a sugar burner. And when you start to burn fat, A, you're going to lose fat, but B, your brain is going to work better because your brain prefers fuel as fat. So if you're not able to metabolize fat the way you're supposed to, your triglyceride levels go up and your brain function goes down, and it increases your risk of dementia long term. So we want you to be getting those cholesterol numbers in order without drugs. It causes hormonal and metabolic imbalances, so it increases your insulin levels, but it also increases your estrogen levels, which can cause PCOS, can cause menopause type symptoms, can cause a lot of different issues with estrogen dominance. Sugar causes diabetes. Sugar leads to heart disease because of inflammation. It's an anti-nutrient and it promotes cancer. Do you need any more reasons to avoid sugar? So what you're going to learn in doing this program is you're going to learn how to get sugar out of your life. It doesn't mean get sweet out of your life. We're going to show you how to do sweet. All right? I eat sweet all the time. I like sweet, but I don't eat sugar. Like we made a dish last night that called for a half a cup of sugar, and we put half a cup of monk fruit, which gave us all the sweetness, but didn't give us any of this stuff. Monk fruit doesn't cause any of these things. Same thing with stevia. So if we're looking at sugar and serving size, remember we want less than 10 grams of sugar per serving size, ideally lower than that, but at least that. So if you look here, first thing you gotta look for is like the grams of sugar. So you're gonna see sugar grams right here is 28 grams. Okay. 28 grams. So does that violate the rule of single digits? Yes, it does. But it's not 28 grams of sugar. That's 28 grams of sugar per serving. So then you have to look up here, how many servings per container? Oh, 2.5. So there's actually 2.5 times this. So there's not 28 grams of sugar. There's about 70 grams of sugar. And this is a Pepsi. And most people would drink that. This is not a 2-liter bottle. This is just one of those, I think, 22-ounce bottles. So if you drink that whole thing, that's 70 grams of sugar. People shouldn't get more than 25 grams of added sugar per day in the United States. We're talking 3 times that in one Pepsi right here. So you got to look for serving size and sugar, because if this said 8 grams of sugar, if you took that 2 off there and it just said 8, you would think, oh, that's good. But you got to go back up here and look, oh, it's 2.5 times that. So it's actually not 8, it's not 16, it's actually what, 20, 20 grams of sugar. So that's going to violate that rule of single digits serving size. Okay. And I'm going to go through some more examples in a couple of minutes. We got a lot of examples coming up. The other is fats. Okay. We want more good fats and we want to get rid of the bad fats. Good fats reduce inflammation and cause you to burn fat. Bad fats cause inflammation and clog up your arteries. Okay. So good fats are going to be things like olive oil. Okay. Olive oil to cook with, coconut oil to cook with. Coconut's much more stable. Coconut oil is much more stable at high heat than olive oil. Raw butter, like organic butter, is another good one. If you like butter, then organic butter is what I recommend. So you don't want the non-organic because they put so many hormones and antibiotics in that. But then raw nuts and seeds are going to be a great source of fat. Avocado and avocado oil. So if you like guacamole or avocado, that's a great fat for your brain. Helps your brain burn fat and helps your brain utilize that for energy. So olive oil, coconut oil, butter, raw nuts and seeds, avocado oil. What the things you want to get rid of are going to be these bad fats. Now, these are the fats that are in junky foods, that you buy in the store that are in boxes. They may be in your pantry, and if they are, the first thing you need to do is go throw these away. Don't use them. Don't give them to someone else. Throw them away in the trash because they are trash. So that's going to be things like partially hydrogenated soybean oils, partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, partially hydrogenated any other oil. Partially hydrogenated means it's a trans fat. It doesn't exist in nature. It clogs your arteries and is absolutely terrible for you. So we'll show you some examples of how to avoid partially hydrogenated oil. We want to get rid of soybean oil because soybean oil causes inflammation. Canola oil causes inflammation. I don't ever cook with canola oil. If I watch the Food Network and they say, oh, here's just a half a cup of canola oil, I'm like, man, why don't you just use avocado oil instead? It's so much better for you. It doesn't cost much money either. Cottonseed oil is one to avoid. Most grapeseed oil, because of the way they process it, is not good for you. Sunflower and safflower are what's called rancid vegetable oils. Corn oils, anything that just has vegetable oil. Those are ones you want to get rid of. Now, where are those going to be? Primarily in packaged foods. So if you're cooking and you're making stir fry, you're cooking at home, we would want you to be using avocado oil. That's my go-to. You can use coconut oil. It's a little harder to work with. You can use olive oil, but I prefer like avocado oil is the one that I tend to use because it's the easiest, doesn't have any flavor or anything like that. But these are the ones I'm going to avoid. And how are you going to do that? By reading food labels. Okay. And then the last is toxins. Okay. So sugar, fats, toxins. Now toxins, there's two. Typically artificial sweeteners. That's like the pink packet, the blue packet, or the yellow packet, right? So that's Sweet and Low, that's Equal, and that's Splenda, right? So Sweet and Low, Equal, Splenda, those the blue packet that and the pink packet and the yellow packet that's on the table, that stuff is absolute brain poison. Okay, they're called excitatory neurotoxins. You don't ever need to ingest that. There's very few things that I will say I'd never eat. Like you'll see me eat pizza, you'll see me drink beer, you'll see me eat Oreos sometimes on what we call vacation meals, but you will never see me drink a Diet Coke. You will never see me chew sugar-free gum. You'll never see me do sugar-free anything else because if it says sugar-free, 9 times out of 10, it's these artificial sweeteners that you want to avoid. Okay, those are called sucralose, which is Splenda. Remember that sucralose. There's aspartame, which is Equal, which is absolutely horrible for you. It literally, what these do is they excite your brain cells so that they die. The brain cells actually overstimulate themselves and die. There's all kinds of literature about how incredibly horribly toxic these things are to you. And then the pink packet is saccharin. You're not going to find saccharin in that much because they found saccharin caused brain tumors. They don't put saccharin in that many packaged foods. They put sucralose and they put aspartame in a ton of packaged foods. Sucralose, aspartame. Okay, you're going to see those in a few minutes. You want to avoid those. The other one is anything with a hashtag or number sign. Okay, so we look at these. These are Skittles. First thing I should tell you is Skittles are not good for you. But if we do grams of sugar per serving size, this is so 1 bag of Skittles. This is 1 serving size. It says right there, 47 grams of sugar. So 5 times more sugar than I would recommend in anything that you eat. So you just don't need to eat these things. It's killing you. There's just no reason for it. So the first thing in there, sugar, corn syrup, hydrogenated palm kernel, just not good for you. But the other things I wanted you to see was blue number 2, yellow number 5, red number 40, yellow number 6, blue number 1, right? Those have been linked to ADHD and hyperactivity in children. Like, don't ever feed this to your kids if you have them or your grandkids, because it literally causes interference with the way the neurons work in the brain. It's brain poison. So anything with artificial sweeteners are a number sign you want to avoid. Okay, so let's get into some examples here. So first thing, this is hummus. Everybody knows, okay, hummus is good for you, right? It's Mediterranean. Hummus is chickpeas, olive oil, sometimes tahini, and salt. Tahini is from sesame. So it's going to have chickpeas, and it's going to have some type of oil. So when I pick up hummus, I'm going to make sure, A, it doesn't have sugar in it, right? So if you look at it here, 0 grams of sugar, so I'm good there. But I also want to look and see what's actually in it. I want to read the ingredients. I'm not just going to read this up here. That stuff can tell you some good stuff, but I want to look at what's in it, ingredients. So the first things in it is garbanzo beans. Are we good? Yes. Tahini, which is sesame seeds. Yep. And then the oil is olive oil and lemon juice and garlic. Great. Olive oil. Now, if you pick up Sabra hummus, which is right next to it, or if you get that at like Starbucks or something like that, it's going to say garbanzo beans, tahini, and canola oil. So if we go back to the bad fats, canola oil is right there. You want to put that one back. Okay. So you want to put that back and keep looking through the hummus until you find one that has garbanzo beans and olive oil, not some junky oil like vegetable oil or canola oil. Okay. All right. Next one. So this is a Cliff Bar. So this violates a few different things. So if we just take a look at Cliff Bar here first, we're going to look at sugar per serving size. So how many servings? 1 bar. So if you eat this whole thing, 22 grams of sugar, put it back. Okay. Why do you put it back? Because of everything that I talked about on here. There we go. It causes obesity. It causes inflammation. It causes acidity. It raises your cholesterol. It causes hormonal imbalances. Causes diabetes. Causes heart disease. Is an anti-nutrient. Causes cancer. You just got to put that back. You have to outsmart these people that are putting all this food in there. So that goes back to your big why. That goes back to your habits. And it doesn't mean you can never, ever eat that stuff again, but that would be on what we call like a vacation meal or going rogue, which means you do it on purpose. You're not doing it on a daily or even a weekly basis for most of these things. Okay. And if you're doing it on purpose. So if I go out and I eat a pizza or, a couple pieces of pizza, that's a vacation meal, which means I've planned that in advance. If I go to that same restaurant and it's not a vacation meal for me, I'm going to find something that's healthy. I'm going to have, some type of protein with veggies, or I'm going to have a salad or something that fits into my meal plan. And I can go back to that same restaurant the next day, going rogue, doing, eating what I really feel like I want to eat on a vacation meal. And that's where I would eat that piece of pizza. Okay. So we got there right there. I'm going to talk about fiber in a few minutes. This has very little fiber and a whole lot of carbohydrates, which causes your blood sugar levels to go up. Fiber is your friend, and we'll cover that in a couple of minutes as well. And then it's so that's going to be the main thing, is going to be sugar right there. There's some other stuff in there that I'm not super thrilled with. Soy protein isolate. Most people do not need more soy in their lives. So that would disqualify this one right there, is just the sugar. Okay. Bush's baked beans. It says fat-free and high in fiber right here, right? So that must be good for you. So this is a can that's about this big, by the way. This is not a big can like this. It's one of those little cans that you would eat easily. Easily, you would eat this by yourself, one person. So how many serving size are in there? 3.5. So you're supposed to feed 3.5 people with this little can of beans, right? So we look at the number, the amount of sugar in there, 12 grams of sugar. So even if you were eating this, if this was 1 serving size, it would be no good. But it's not 1 serving size, it's 3.5. So you multiply 12 by 3.5. So we're talking 40 grams of sugar in baked beans. So do you see why we're so sick as a country? Do you see why we have all these health problems and conditions? Yes, it's because we're eating so much sugar and we don't even think about it. Okay. So we'll talk about fiber again in just a minute here. Another one of the food label rules is less ingredients, the better. Right? Less ingredients, the better. Now, what should be in peanut butter? It should be peanuts and salt. Well, what's in this one? This is Skippy peanut butter. It says no trans fat. I'll cover that in a minute. But let's just look at the ingredients. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including soybean oil, which is partially hydrogenated soybean oil, one of the junky fats, maltodextrin, which is sugar, and then icing sugar, and then hydrogenated vegetable oil. So it's horrible fat and high in sugar. You absolutely want to put that back. Now, the reason they can say no trans fat is I don't pay attention to the front. Don't ever read the front of a food label, because they can lie all they want. They can't lie on the back. You have to put what's actually in the food. They can be tricky, but they can't flat out lie. On the front, this says no trans fat. That's not true, because hydrogenated vegetable oil is a trans fat. The reason they can say that's no trans fat is because our FDA, who again is not watching out for you, okay? Our government is not watching out for you. Our food companies are not watching out for you. You have to watch out for yourself and be your own advocate. So what they said is that, you know what, you can label it trans fat free as long as it has less than a certain amount of grams of trans fat per serving, which is absolutely lying to you. So what the food companies did is they shrunk the serving size down. They didn't change the actual peanut butter. They just made the serving sizes smaller, so that got under the threshold, and they can say no trans fat, even though there's trans fat right there. But they can't fool you if you read the food label, okay? What should peanut butter have in it? So again, right here, organic unblanched Valencia peanuts, period. There's 1 ingredient versus 6 ingredients. This one's going to be better for you. Right? If you want to look at sugar per serving size, 1 gram of sugar per serving size. So you're good there. So this would be a good option. Okay. The magic of fiber. I did want to discuss this. Let me bring this down. Okay. So what you want to look at here is what we call the 5-to-1 fiber rule. So check the ratio of grams of carbohydrates to grams of fiber. Okay. you want that to be 5-to-1 or less carbohydrates to fiber. Now, fiber is good for you for a bunch of different reasons. Fiber is very good for your gut. Fiber is prebiotics. We talk a lot about probiotics, but your good gut bud or your good gut buddies called probiotics. They need prebiotics, which to feed on. Prebiotics feed the probiotics. Most people have a prebiotic issue as well as a probiotic issue. So you want to get good fiber. Fiber reduces your risk of colon cancer. Fiber makes your bowel movements better. Fiber does so many good things for you. Fiber decreases the blood sugar, your blood sugar levels. It does so many good things for you. So you want to make sure you're getting a lot of fiber and not a lot of carbohydrates, because if you have a high level of carbohydrates and a small level of fiber, that just means it's been super processed. Okay. So if you don't have, the processing basically takes the fiber out of things and increases the carbohydrate levels. So let's look at this 5-to-1 level. This is Ezekiel bread. This is what I recommend. If you eat bread, this is what I would recommend is Ezekiel sprouted grain bread. It's very unprocessed bread. Now, it has 14 grams of carbohydrates and it has 4 grams of fiber. So you want to basically multiply 4 times 5. That would be 20. So is this 5-to-1 or less? Yeah. So this would need to be less than 20 and it's only 14, which is great. So if you got 4 grams of fiber, multiply that times 5, and you would want the carbohydrates to be under that number, right? You would want that to be under 20. No grams of sugar, by the way. Okay. Now, if we go down here and we look at Wonder Bread, we're going to look at that same fiber deal, right? So fiber, 2 grams of fiber, right? So 2 times 5 is 10, right? So get this 5-to-1 ratio. So we would want this to have no more than 10 grams of total carbohydrates, but it's got what? 29 grams, right? 29 grams. So this is 15-to-1, right? 15 grams of carbohydrates to 1 gram of dietary fiber. And then you have 5 grams of sugar for no reason. There's no reason to have sugar in your bread. There's just no reason for it. They do this because people are addicted to sugar. And if you are addicted to sugar, then eating the way that we're teaching you to eat changes your taste buds. I used to love Wonder Bread and those things. I hate that stuff now. I prefer this, and you're going to build new habits and you're going to build new taste buds over time. So again, you want to start looking at fiber and eating lots of fiber and not a lot of sugar. Okay. And then the last one here, a lot of people ask me, like, how do you find snacks or gum or things like that? So again, the less ingredients, the better. And we're going to look for toxins here. Toxins are one of the big things in candy, gum, and things like that. Okay. So we got Trident gum versus Spry over here. So Trident gum versus Spry. So Trident, what does it say on the front? Remember, we don't read the front because the front is for suckers. Sugar-free gum with xylitol. Now, if you've heard me speak in the past, so good sugar alternatives are going to be xylitol. Erythritol is a good one. Stevia is a good one. Monk fruit is a good one. Monk fruit, some of monk fruit has erythritol. So erythritol or xylitol, anything ending in OL, those are sugar alcohols, which means they don't drive up your blood sugar. They don't cause inflammation. They don't mess up your hormones. They don't cause acidity. So those are going to be good. So what they're preying on here is like, oh, maybe you heard Dr. Eric talk about xylitol. So that must be good for me. I'll just start chewing this. We got to read the food label. So sorbitol, gum base, xylitol, glycerin, mannitol, artificial and natural coloring, and then we're all the way down here. And then what is this? Aspartame. That's the blue packet. That's equal. That causes seizures, brain disorders, all kinds of things. Increases risk of dementia. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've said that. Yeah, I've heard this say, like, yeah, my mom has Alzheimer's or dementia, and she drank 3 Diet Cokes or 5 Diet Cokes a day. I hear that all the time. Aspartame is a brain poison. Sucralose is the other one. It's a brain poison. That's Splenda. That's the yellow packet. Brain poison. Red number 40. Brain poison, right? So I'm never going to chew Trident. You just won't find me doing it. I'll take bad breath all day over that. Spry gum is what I do chew. Now, what's that? Xylitol, gum-based, spearmint oil, a natural flavor. Non-GMO soy lecithin and beeswax. So it doesn't have xylitol, doesn't have sucralose, doesn't have any artificial colors in it because you don't need that in your gum. There's no reason for your gum to be pink. There's just no reason for it. It just looks better and people buy the brightly colored stuff. And kids are the ones that are really, get hurt worse than anybody over this. So again, if we go back and we just take a quick look at where we started, we want to do less ingredients, the better. You want to look at sugar and serving size, and we're going to go less than 10 grams of sugar per serving size. We're going to look at getting rid of the bad fats, All right. So those bad fats are those partially hydrogenated oil, the canola oil I was telling you about, vegetable oil, those things. And we want to get rid of toxins. Right. And if you do those things, you're going to be right 99% of the time. And then if you look at fiber, and you start doing the 5-to-1 rule on fiber, again, you're going to be in good shape. Now, where's most of your fiber? Should most of your fiber come from? It should not come from packaged foods. When you eat a zucchini or an apple or an orange or a pear or a piece of broccoli or a carrot stick, that stuff has a ton of fiber, which your body needs to digest it, to feed your probiotics, to increase your brain function. So we're big on fiber here too. So people always ask, should I count calories? And no, a lot of times we'll have people count fiber grams, because if you get a high enough grams of fiber per day, guess what? Your diet's going to be fantastic. So that's your food label ninja framework. That's your atomic habit. And if you can do these things, and you can watch this video a few times and keep it handy. But if you can do these things and start reading food labels in the grocery store, it's amazing what you'll do. You'll put the junky stuff back and you'll find the good stuff. And over time, that builds those habits that are going to stick long term. So hopefully that will inspire you to start reading these food labels. And if you have any questions, you can always ask us. So that's what we're here for, to help you with these things. But that's going to make it be right 99% of the time. So get out there and read those labels.